Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to a moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up in just a few minutes in our travel treasures segment brought to you by Navi Travel, we're featuring Karl Pierre, a serial entrepreneur that has achieved financial freedom through owning home care agencies, healthcare staffing firms, and a multi-million dollar real estate portfolio throughout the world. He aims to teach people how to live globally by building revenue streams that allow you to live anywhere in the world without the pressure of how to pay for the lifestyle that you want. Now, the benefits of travel go beyond making memories and meeting new people. Getting out of your comfort zone and exploring a new place can have a remarkably positive impact on your emotional well being. Even when traveling far distances can feel uncertain, changing up your daily routine at a nearby town or locale on a weekend day can help to change your mindset and help to ease the stress of the daily grind. Today, we're chatting affordable travel, the importance of traveling and seeing the world, and Carl's tips for the key to success in entrepreneurship. Now, in case you need another reason to explore and travel the world, let me remind you that traveling will open up your heart and soul to cultural experiences and wonders. Welcoming now to the show is the amazing Karl Pierre. Welcome, superstar.
Welcome. Thanks for that introduction. It definitely shapes me in the right light for the conversation.
Absolutely. Well, you are a superstar. So let's jump right in. Can you share your journey from starting out to basically becoming a self-made millionaire?
Well, I would say my journey starts with my immigrant parents. My parents are from Haiti. They came to the United States. They decided to go into the healthcare industry. My mom's a nurse. And early on, we started a medical staffing company. And that's kind of where I got my entrepreneurial start. I helped her out because I was the only kid that knew how to use a computer in the household. So I became her right hand. We've since grown that company quite large. We do about $12 million in annual rev. And I've gone on to form my own entity, which is called Aidbook. We're a tech-enabled, tech-focused home healthcare company that is starting to accumulate assets throughout the United States.
I love it. This is an incredible story, truly self-made. And I love how you rolled up your sleeves and were an incredible son to your mom. Now, how did you manage to turn your passion for travel into a profitable venture? And what were the initial steps you took to monetize and create income streams?
So initially, my focus was healthcare. I saw it as like a reliable path. My parents never got laid off. They always did fairly well. So my thought was, how can I generate enough money to live globally? The first time that I had the idea to live globally was actually I took a trip to Thailand, and I saw that I could get a full meal for like $1.50 in Thailand. And I was like, wait a second, this is the first time that I'm seeing how far the US dollar goes. Because before then, I would travel to like Mexico, the Caribbean, and your money doesn't go that far there. But going to Thailand actually showed that there was major currency fluctuations and the advantage of having US dollars. So I started thinking, how could I run a business or invest my way to having enough passive income to live in places like Thailand or really anywhere in the world? And that's what got the gears going. So one of the investments that I had made at that time was that I had two properties in Stony Brook, New York. Stony Brook is a state university, college town. And me and my fraternity brothers had bought a house and then another, and we were renting that out to other students. And those properties would generate between like $1,000 and $2,000 a month in cash flow. I was like, if I just got a couple more of these homes, I could live virtually anywhere. So what I started to do was all the money that I saved from the earnings of the healthcare companies and working as an X-ray tech and CT tech, I would roll that back into real estate assets. And that first initial number that I had in mind is like, if I could just make $3,500 passively, then I could replace my income, and $3,500 in a place like Thailand goes a long way. But then
Wow.
that number has kind of expanded over time. And
Talk
it,
about 10Xing your business, right? Grant Cardone right there.
yeah, yeah.
You are amazing. So, well, first of all, success is not final, right? Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts, and it's better to fail in originality than to succeed in imitation, right? So that's something I always tell myself. Now, building a successful business, Karl, obviously requires these days a strong online presence and audience, tons of audience engagement. What strategies did you employ to grow your followership? I mean, this is quite an amazing journey you've had.
Yeah, right now we have nearly 200,000 followers on our social media platform. So on my personal brand, I have about 180,000. Then I have my consulting company, Passive Workforce, that has maybe 1,000 or so combined. And then, of course, a pretty large email list. My tip for anybody who is in business is that you have to have some sort of online presence. And I think social media helps in a lot of ways. And you don't have to like dance or do anything ridiculous. Usually, you as you are is enough of a character to shape your brand around. Just be yourself and share what you know, because chances are there are other people who are in exactly the same position as you or once were there or trying to get where you are. So you just need to talk about your life, share useful information, actionable items, and then just do it. Because you start when you start kind of creating a brand, you tend to compare yourself to the most successful brand that you follow. And that successful brand started day one, just like you. Don't compare
Exactly.
yourself to that high production level. Just go out there and start creating. You're going to get better at speaking. You're going to get more comfortable. And then you'll start to see what your audience actually wants out of you. And then you can start shaping your narrative around that.
You are so receptive. I love that. And interestingly, because balancing a travel centric lifestyle like yours with the responsibilities of running a successful business can be challenging. How do you manage your time effectively and maintain a work life balance?
The work-life balance is horrible. So my day starts at 5 a.m. And ends at around 7 p.m. Like that's dinner time, and then I wind down and go to sleep. So most of the day I'm working. Weekends I work, and I love what I do. And I get to travel a lot because of business. I have investments in other countries, and I have offices in other countries. So I'm moving a lot. But the work-life balance, I still haven't quite figured that part out. Um, I, I think the more you put in early, the better off you are later on. And if you're doing things that you enjoy and you're doing things that you're good at, I don't think you really need to have too much of a work-life balance. You'll find like your middle point.
You're right, and it's the journey, not the arrival that matters, right? I remember my mom always used to say, "Take only memories, leave only footprints." But yes, this is exactly what you're preaching. Now, could you share some of your most memorable travel experiences that have influenced both your work content and your personal growth as an entrepreneur?
Oh man, it's so many. But I think one that I've talked about on my channel that was kind of a strong memory for me and my family is that in the small town of Musumelli, they're selling properties for as little as €1. And
Wow,
I actually went out there to buy these properties naturally. I was like, what, €1? I gotta check this out for myself.
this is craziness.
Yeah, it's absolute craziness. But you could get a house in Italy anywhere from a buck to about 30, 40,000 quite easily. So anybody who's thinking about living the Dolce Vita, I would recommend looking at Italy and seeing what you could pick up. But this small town of Musumelli has 12,000 people. And one of my friends there is an artist, and they were doing this project called the Art Doors. And what ended up happening is that my wife took a picture with me and my daughter walking through this like historic part of town. And one of the painters saw the picture on social media and decided to use it for his art door project. So, strong memory for me was him presenting the idea to me and my wife and asking for permission to use this idea for his door. And my wife just breaks down crying.
Oh,
And to me, it was like a sign of being accepted in this new town because we're totally outsiders. We look like outsiders. We're
right.
buying up cheap property. A lot of people would think that a small village wouldn't be so welcoming of investors coming in. But this was confirmation that we are part of this community and people want us to be involved and want us to be there.
What a
So that's
beautiful
probably one of the
story. This is Italy, right? Wow.
yep.
This is incredible. It gave me goosebumps. That is a truly memorable story. Now, achieving self-made millionaire status in life, that's where you are. What was your secret if you can share a little tip?
It's actually pretty easy to become a millionaire. And when it happened for me, it was kind of like not actively knowing because your net worth is just the difference between the value of your assets and your total liabilities. So I'm picking up real estate and company growth. one day we just were reconciling for life insurance purposes what my net value was. And I was like, whoa, I didn't even realize that I'm here already. So I think the tip that I have is that you have to understand how value is determined. And if you're not managing that asset side of things, a lot of people buy things with their money. If you should be spending your money on assets, we're talking about stocks, real estate assets, other businesses, things that actually have value and produce income. And then you need to keep your debt low, because if you have high debt and you have a bunch of assets, your net worth is still low. So it's all about trying to push as much money that you have into the asset column, true assets that produce cash, and then all the additional cash flow, whether it's from your businesses, from your real estate, from stock dividends, roll that back into getting more assets, and also keep your personal expenses low. I live a pretty humble life. I always have, because I always found it to be quite ridiculous to overpay for things. So even in my life today, I live in like I guess pretty nice area in Fort Lauderdale. Average home price is around 1.5 million, but I bought the worst triplex in the neighborhood for land value for 600 grand. I put 300 grand into it. I have $600,000 in equity. I still kept it as a triplex. Me and my family lives in one unit. The other two units are on Airbnb, doing $4,000 a month. That's
Wow, you are
that's the
doing
way that I think.
amazing.
So I just say that to people. Like, people have this goal of their dream house, or buying, the Range Rover or whatever it is. And I'm just like, well, what are you doing to bring more cash in? And if you're looking to achieve financial freedom, you need to set your freedom number. That's the number that replaces the job, allows you to eat and survive.
There you
Once you
go.
replace your freedom number, you're free to do whatever you want. And chances are you're going to start piling more money into what's working for you. And then from there, the sky's the limit.
There you go. Well, we are out of time. And with that, that was incredible advice. Thank you so much for being transparent, not only in how you got to where you are at with your investments, but you also gave us some pretty personal information in terms of what you paid for your land and where it's at right now. And that goes a long way. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Guys, you definitely have to check out Karl Pierre. That was our Travel Treasures segment brought to you by Navi. And that was Karl Pierre, a serial entrepreneur that clearly has achieved financial freedom through not only his intelligence, but who he is. Beautiful inside and out. Do check him out on YouTube, Instagram at Karl_Pierre, or you could head directly to their website at entplife.com. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Navé, a members-only travel portal exclusively available through Organo, offering members steep discounts on nightly or weekly hotel stays, cruises, auto rentals, excursions, and so much more. With its travel getaway portal, Navé makes the days of surfing multiple travel sites and spending hours evaluating the best deals done with. That's because with Navé, you are guaranteed the best prices. Plus, to gain access to an even more expansive collection of condos, hotels, cruises, vacation villas, fantasy getaways, and concierge service, there's Forever Weeks. Simply purchase a Navé Forever Weeks package one time and enjoy the benefits many times. With Forever Weeks, forever means forever. Not only does Navé guarantee you the best prices, but it is also one of the few travel portals that pays a referral bonus, in addition to you earning rewards points, which can be redeemed on the Travel Getaway portal for further discounted hotel room rates. Become a member today and navigate the world of travel. Navé, the world for you to experience. For more information, go to nave.travel. That's Navé, Nave.travel.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in our Travel Treasures segment, in our extended segment, we're speaking with Karl Pierre, serial entrepreneur, achieved financial freedom through owning home care agencies, healthcare staffing firms, and a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio throughout the world. Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you for having me again.
Absolutely. So let's jump right into, we're in our extended segment. What advice do you have for individuals who are just starting their journey and aiming to create both a successful, lucrative business, and also get to see the world?
First things first, I would say establish a business in an area that you know really well and make sure that you are addressing a problem that you know. So at one point in time, I was raising money for a company, and it was a fashion tech company. This is something I did with my ex-wife. And one of the investors was like, I went through the project, I went through your history. Your whole life is in healthcare. What the hell are you doing launching a fashion company? He was like, why don't you solve a problem within your industry and come back to me? And that got me thinking. It's like, you know what? We do have a couple issues in our company that I can't stand. Let me create a technical solution for that. So in home healthcare at the time, every worker had to have their timesheet signed by the patient weekly, bring it back to the office or fax it in. And of course, I would create delays in payroll, miscalculations, etc. So I created an app called On Time ITS, which we're raising money for now, actually. So if you want to invest, shoot me an email at invest@ENTP Life, and I'll get you over some information. But the problem that we had was that collecting and compiling all this data would result in errors. So I created a mobile GPS app that allowed them to check in at the patient's home, collect the signatures that we needed, and submit them. So no longer did we have to chase people down for timesheets. We got all the data in accurately, all the data in on time, and we're able to do our payroll, billing, and all of our financial needs quite seamlessly. So the reason I bring this up is that you asked me, what should business owners focus on? Focus on what you know, solve a problem. Chances are other people within that industry have the same exact problem. And if you come up with a solution for that, you have customers.
Wow, that's a great analogy there. That I love. I love how you tied that full circle. Now, let's chat sacrifices. So, what sacrifices did you have to make along the way, and how do you feel like that these sacrifices actually contributed to your achievements?
I think the biggest sacrifice that I made along the way in this journey of entrepreneurship is kind of time with friends. So right after college, a lot of my friends, they got their jobs and happy hours, hanging out on the weekends. I worked overnights. I worked double shifts at the hospitals on the weekends, and I kept my days free to run the business. So my sleeping hours were like from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. And then I worked the overnight shift and I worked weekends. So I was completely maxed out on work. So what I lost were kind of those early social interactions. I had plenty of fun in college, but that's what was missing. And the fact that I didn't spend my money on happy hours and running up large bar tabs and nightclub table tabs, I had enough money to reinvest in my business. I had enough money to buy more real estate. So the sacrifice that I made was somewhat social, but now I'm in a position that I can travel as frequently as I want. Whenever my friends want to travel, they know that I'm down. So I'm making up for that lost time, and I'm doing it without really breaking a sweat financially. So the sacrifice is kind of delayed gratification and just kind of holding off a little bit so that you're not spending your money on junk that's not producing for you.
Beautiful. Now, innovation and staying current are essential in your world. How do you continue to evolve your content and adapt to changing trends to really maintain your relevance and popularity?
Oh, that's always tough because you never know when you're creating content, you never know what hits. You could kind of study and analyze how people are reacting to different kind of content. Like new today, it's shorts and reels. Vertical filming, I kind of don't like it. I'm so used to the landscape kind of presentation of traditional TV that filming vertically turns me off. But that's where the industry is going. So you just have to keep creating, testing ideas, learning as you go, and then the results reveal themselves to you, and then you start to kind of refine down on that. So anybody who's trying to stay innovative, just keep doing what you're doing, but listen, pay attention to your data, pay attention to your insights, pay attention to the comments that people are making. Are they asking questions? If
Right.
they're asking questions and there's conversation starting around your short or around even a phrase that you made, that could become a video where you deep dive into that same topic. I'm covering 1 euro homes in Italy, and people are always like, oh, that's BS. It's a lie. You have to spend so much money on renovations. And that's a common comment. So it makes me say, all right, you think it's a lie? Well, I'm going to film an entire series showing exactly how much it cost, what the final results are, and how you can replicate it. So just
Seeing is
listen.
believing. Seeing is believing, and guess what? People judge a book by its cover. They think that everything that glitters is gold or has to be gold. But if you give them, the proof that not everything that glitters is gold, it could be silver, it could be bronze, it could be, people are just very, very used to certain ideals and checklists that they follow. That if it's outside of their concept of success, then it's a lie or it's impossible to them. So I love that you are actually filming, putting the footage out there and allowing people to get educated by virtue of just watching. So you're educating people and people are loving that in return, which is why I think you're also so successful. Now, you mentioned that you are working on something pretty inspiring, a new project. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So being in the home healthcare space, I realized that there's a lot of inefficiencies in healthcare. I'm sure you've been to a doctor's office or a hospital. Things move slow, things are archaic, and the patient is who suffers. So, in that same vein of thought of solving a problem within the industry, we decided to launch this tech enabled home healthcare company that puts technology first. And what we do is we run our company with our software, and we listen to what our caregivers have to say, what our patients have to say, the things that are causing errors to be made, and we program them out. So right now we're raising $1 million to kind of grow a little bit further, to build out our sales team and to also kind of build out our outreach team so that we're getting more doctors aware of these sort of services that we provide and how they benefit their patients in the long run. A lot of people who aren't being cared for properly, especially in their elderly years, will develop chronic diseases that just advance and get worse. We can step in and actually slow the advancement of those diseases by just managing care a little bit better, reminding patients to take their medication, watching out for their diet, training our aides remotely through updates and video distributions on things to look out for when caring for a diabetic patient. These are all the things that we build into our software and build into our company's philosophy that helps people live more vibrantly and also allows us to deliver care in a more efficient manner.
You got it going on, brother. You're on fire. You're in beast mode right now, and I love that you are thinking about how to solve these actual problems that exist within these niche markets, and you're following your own advice. And actually, you listen. You prove that you listen. That one piece of advice that first investor gave you on that fashion company that said go figure this out and then come back to me is exactly what you've done. So I love that you know enough to know that you don't know everything, right? And that's the difference between people who are successful and people who are stuck in a rut.
Yeah, for sure. Beast mode is a good way of putting it, but it's I get excited by just taking things to the next level. So our next level is $100 million in revenue. And we're going to do that simply by expanding on our technology and acquiring other home healthcare companies. A lot of home healthcare companies are owned by old school nurses. So they're still doing things on paper. They're still
Yeah.
doing things in a very family business sort of way. And what we do is we come in, we buy those companies, we allow the owners to retire, and we just make them more efficient. So that's our next phase, is improving our technology, acquiring a few more assets, and just keeping that going. So $100 million is our next stop.
There you go. 10x your business. Your mom must be so proud.
My mom is competitive. So
Oh boy, now we know where you get it from.
yeah, she's proud. She's proud, but she kind of like he's like, if I was younger, if I grew up in this country, I would be so much further. Like she's competitive. So but
Really?
she certainly is proud.
Wow. Well, I love the go-getter in her. Listen, behind every great man, there's a great woman, and it seems like it's your mama.
Yeah, my wife too. She's
Oh,
awesome.
of course. Well, of course. But your mom was the one in healthcare, right?
Yeah, my mom is the one that kind of planted the seed.
Planted the
And I love her for that. She saw the inefficiencies as well. She was working in a nursing home, and she was a assistant director in a nursing home, and they were using agencies to fill their staffing shortages. And she got to look at the contract and was like, what? They're paying this much? And she's like, all right, let me set up an agency, get some of my friends to work, and we'll start filling some of these gaps in other companies. And that's
Wow.
where it all got started. So thank mom for that.
You are quite the businessman. Well, we are officially out of time. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Guys, that was our Travel Treasure segment brought to you by Navi, featuring the incredible Karl Pierre, an incredible serial entrepreneur that achieved financial freedom through home care agencies, healthcare staffing firms, and his multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio throughout the world. Do check him out on YouTube and on the gram at Karl_Pierre. It's Karl with a K. And you can head directly to their website at entplife.com and passiveworkforce.com. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.